Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pandem Presents. Today, we are lucky and blessed to be speaking with award-winning author Kevin M. Kraft, and he has some amazing books too. I plan to buy as soon as possible.
Great.
But today, we're talking about, and I always mess it. Is it Dorado? How do you say it? Because I
Doboro. Doboro.
Dobro.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. You got to explain to me what does that mean?
Well, Dobro is it actually I borrowed it from the name of a particular kind of guitar, a
Oh.
resonator guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And the company the company that kind of originated that is well known for it was called Dobro, Dobro.
Okay.
And as I was writing the character for Dobro, I thought because it's also has martial arts and stuff in it. And I
Yeah.
thought, if I added in another syllable to that, it would actually sound almost like something from Japan, Doboro.
Yeah, it does. It
And I
does.
thought
It
that's perfect. And he's a blues player and everything too. So I just, that name kind of came easy for me.
does.
And
Right.
that's how he got his name.
Oh, wow. Wow. So tell me about this book. Tell me about this story.
Okay. The Dobro is about a man who is uh, kind of recruited or compelled by the FBI to act as a material witness
Mm,
in a case. They're trying to nail a businessman, a Japanese American businessman,
mm-hmm.
whom Dave Granger, before he's Dobro, was working for
Mm,
as a driver.
mm.
And when this gets out, he's they tried to assassinate him.
Oh,
And so he survives. He survives the assassination attempt, but he's blinded and he's pretty messed up from that. He's
right.
spirited away. He's spirited away to South Korea, where he begins a 7-year rehabilitation under a martial arts master, and who's also a physician. And
Wow.
so he's healed as far as his body goes, and he's taught survival skills and everything. And so he comes back to the U.S. 7 years later, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of tries to eke out a existence as a blind blues street singer,
Wow.
and but ends up becoming kind of an avenging angel through it all
Mm.
and everything. So
Oh, wow.
it's really cool. It's a I like Dover because he's a man of faith,
Mm-hmm.
and his faith is really what pulls him through all this. His faith
Mm-hmm.
and determination and everything. So he's my kind of hero in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. See, now you saying that, what comes to mind to me, if this was a movie, I would could see Denzel Washington playing that character. I really could.
That would be interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting. He'd do a good job for sure.
Yeah. It seems like his type of role, his type of characters, like
Mhm.
he likes to play. I
Sure.
could definitely see Denzel Washington playing that role.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my other thing is, you said South Korea. I'm a big K-drama fan. Me and your daughter, we went nuts over that
Oh
yesterday. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I am too. I watch
Oh, are you?
a lot of Korean films myself, and so
Okay.
and
Yeah.
that was actually one of the things about the book that I changed early on was at first he's rehabilitated in Japan
Mm.
because I knew a lot about Japan, and I thought, well, every martial arts thing
Yeah.
is in Japan. I thought I've always been fascinated by Korea, South
Yeah.
Korea, and so
Yeah.
I moved it. I moved his rehabilitation to that location so that I could do the research on Korea, which was an
Yeah.
area of interest for me, and so that was really a lot of
Yeah.
fun. That was really interesting to do that. So
And that gave it a unique twist, because you're right. Everybody always says Japan or China.
or China, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So South Korea, people don't even think about martial arts when they think about Korea or South
Right.
Korea. So that
Exactly.
makes it unique.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have a rich history of it. So
Yeah. Yeah. They do. And I think people don't pay attention to
yeah,
that.
it's true. Yeah. So it gave me a chance to do something different with that.
Yeah. And that's what I love. I love in stories when you do something unique, different, just out of the box. I
Hmm.
think it makes it more realistic in a way, because it's actually it's closer to real life.
Hmm. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I
Exactly.
like that. I like that. So, well, then you kind of answered my question, because I was going to ask you, did K dramas influence your writing in any way? So basically,
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't. I mean, they influenced it insofar as watching Korean films and everything. I learned a
Hmm.
lot about their culture
Right,
and
right.
how they live and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely did play a role, definitely.
And another thing that you could tell, like in Korean and K dramas and American dramas, it's like it's like a night and day.
Oh, it
It's so
is.
different. It is
It
so
really
different,
is.
and
Koreans do make better movies than we do.
they do. They do. They're really good at
They
it.
are. They are.
Yeah, yeah, they are really good, and the storylines are always so interesting,
Hmm.
and as they definitely mastered the art of keeping your attention throughout.
Yes.
I,
Yes, they
like
have.
I tell you, there's like 20 episodes. Sometimes the episodes are over an hour long, and
Hmm.
you don't even notice because you're so
You're
into
so
the
wrapped
movie.
up in it.
Yeah,
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 they're wonderful storytellers. They really are.
yes, yes. I mean, I think I've cried the most over. There was one K drama called Mother. Oh my goodness, I
Hmm.
bawled. I don't,
I may have seen that one.
you see,
Pretty
when
sure.
she took the child and she threw the child in the garbage in a garbage bag and put it on the side of the road.
Yes, yes, I saw
Oh,
that. Oh my
and the
gosh.
teacher, yeah, that was
Yeah,
such a good movie.
it really was.
And I
Really
think they said
heartrending.
it might have been a kind of loosely based off of a true story. I'm not sure. Don't
Okay.
hold me to it. I think it was, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
All
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was good, and that's what I love. So it to me, K dramas actually inspire me to continue writing because I don't know about you. When I first started writing, I couldn't find anybody. I couldn't. I didn't know what to put genre to put my book in.
Hmm.
I don't know if you had that issue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I know that there would be people who would love reading it. I just
Hmm.
didn't know how to find them because it's not a normal genre.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
something you've come across too.
I have. Well, Dobro is a perfect example
Mhm.
because it's an action adventure on one hand,
Mhm.
but it's also it's a lot of drama,
Yeah.
and it's a Christian book. The
Yeah.
main character is a Christian book, so it's a faith based book. So I
Yeah.
haven't seen too many faith based novels that are action adventures, and
This
heavy
is true.
dramas. And
Yeah.
it's like, and so I wrote it. I knew when I wrote it that I liked what I wrote, but I thought, what do I have?
Yeah.
How do I market this?
Yeah.
Who's gonna
Yeah.
read this? And
Yeah.
I'm still I'm still kind of finding that out. Well, what I actually found out was what actually have allowed to happen is I let people find me,
Yeah.
and kind
Yeah.
of, it's like I said, sometimes they say, your audience will, if you have something, your audience will find you,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that'll define your audience.
Ooh, that is
That's
true.
kind of what I've been doing is people have been reading it, and that's what's been deciding what my audience is. So,
Okay.
and I have a habit of like creating, new genres or subgenres.
Yeah.
Dobro's an action drama, heartwarming action drama.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so it's in a class by itself
Right.
in many ways. So it's been interesting trying to kind of, how do I who's going to read this? Who
Yeah.
should I market
Yeah.
this to? Biggest
Yeah.
challenge. But
That
I'm a bit of an anarchist anyway, so it kind of that's kind
yeah,
of
it fits.
that's just me.
Yeah.
Got to do something different.
Right. Yeah, I can completely relate to that. I don't like fitting in the box.
Right? Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to define me or put a label on me. I naturally want to break out of that.
Right.
And say,
Right.
no, you're not going to take me. You're not going to take
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I know it's a challenge. So is yours is a Christian what is it under Christian fiction? Is it
Yeah, yeah,
anywhere?
yeah. That's the way
It's like in
that's the
broad.
only categories that I put it in. Like
Okay.
when I went to KDP,
Okay.
Kindle is yeah. Like, I think it's Christian fiction and then African American fiction or something like that, or African American
Yeah.
Christian fiction, something like that.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So my next question is how challenging is it to keep it Christian and keep it realistic?
That was a challenge. It was a challenge in that uh, I tried just because I'm a good Christian man.
Right, right.
I tried to keep things clean,
Mm-hmm.
not to have any profanity in it or anything like that. But then when I did that, and the more I did that, I thought it just doesn't sound real. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Dobro is a Christian man, and he's like me. He doesn't use profanity. He doesn't like
Yeah.
profanity. As a matter of fact, one of the things about his character is that when somebody uses profanity, he snaps them back, like, don't talk like, what's the matter with you talking like that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything. But the people around him, do or might.
Mm-hmm.
And so after I wrote the first draft, I'm like, it just sounds like I'm trying too hard to keep it clean and sanitary, and that's not
Right.
that's not what I want. I want it to be real and relatable.
Right.
And so I went back, and while I didn't, add a lot of profanity or anything like that, I didn't go out of
Yeah.
my way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, what would be natural for this character here, in this situation, what might they say? And
Right.
so there's some mild profanity, and I know some people take exception of that. Real
Yeah.
hardcore. People is like, you should never have any profanity in a Christian
Yeah.
novel. It's like, well, we live in this world, and this is supposed to be like a real world, type of
I
thing.
know church ladies that curse. I said that to your daughter yesterday.
I have to. I have to. Exactly. And I think that people, we can get so wrapped up in keeping it clean and sanitary that we just
Yeah.
totally lose anything of realism. You know.
Right. Right.
So the books, they do contain some mild profanity, because that's how the characters would talk.
But right. Right.
But it's not very heavy. But I've actually had people, who have refused to read my book
Really?
because of the profanity. They said, that they wrote me and said, I'm interested in reading your book, but I don't like profanity. Can you tell me about your book? And I said, well, there is some mild profanity, and I told them exactly what was in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and they said, okay, well, thank you. I won't be reading it. And I said, oh, all right,
That's fine.
that's fine. That's fine.
That's
You
fine.
know?
I've come across a similar situation, but with not profanity, with my books, it's about spiritual warfare. So it's
Mhm.
fictional stories about spiritual warfare.
Mhm.
And I've had Christians tell me they're not going to read my book because they completely misunderstand it. They think I'm writing about witchcraft. And I'm
Mhm.
like, none of the witches do very well in my book if you actually took the time to read it.
Right. 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 Right.
You're
Right.
not prospering.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
I had one of my books, a contemporary religious fantasy.
Mhm.
It's actually one of the books that got one of the highest ratings and a lot of excellent comments about it. But it's very controversial because there are two main characters. There's a preacher,
Mhm.
and then there's the devil.
Mm.
And it's basically a story out of this in a nutshell. It's the devil. It's a fantasy. Now, keep in mind,
Mhm.
it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
It's the devil wants to repent,
Interesting.
and he recruits this Midwest minister to help
Mhm.
facilitate his
Repentance.
defection.
Yeah.
You know, and of course you can imagine all some of the people. Really, I remember one lady ripped me up and down
Mhm.
for about 15 minutes on the phone. How dare you make the devil sympathetic? How dare you take God's arch enemy and blah 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 blah. And she just went off on me. And
Wow.
I took it, and
Yeah.
after she was done, finally, and I said, this is just a fantasy, for one thing. And it's like, who wouldn't like to see the devil repent if it were possible,
Yeah, if it were possible. Yeah.
and I also said, I said, you also missed the whole core of the message.
Yes. Oh, hold on. Hold on. I can't hear you. Did I unmute? It's not unmuting. Let me see.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. That's fine. Oh wait, it did it again.
Pat?
Okay.
Okay. Maybe I should just sit still. But yeah, but I don't know how much you caught, but
Uh-huh.
but
Well, you. you were just saying something really, really interesting. That's the Satan's busy right now. He's like,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Immediately
Yeah.
when you just said about to say something really good.
Yeah.
Um,
And
mhm,
yeah. And I was saying that that the main point of the book was the question asked. Number one, can and should Christians live a sinless life?
mhm,
And then the second question is, what could God do with someone who has committed themselves to living a holy life, a sinless life?
mhm,
You know, because we're
mhm.
because we're told in the Bible, that hey, Christ died for our sins. He died. He did what he did not just to break us from the curse of sin,
Yeah,
but the yoke of sin.
yeah.
And so I thought, when it tells us to abstain from sin,
Mhm.
um, shouldn't we be able to do that with God's Spirit in us?
Yeah, this is
And
true.
so that whole question, that's at the heart of the book.
Yeah,
And that's the question that really was people found very evocative, was that whole
yeah.
idea about living, because we're often told, and you probably heard it yourself in church,
Mhm.
preachers say, yes, we're all sinners, we still sin, but we're saved by grace. And I'm like, that's not what Jesus came to do.
No, if that's the case, he wouldn't need to be here.
Exactly. Well,
He wouldn't. I mean, he wouldn't have
what
came.
would be
Yeah,
the point? Yeah, what would be the point of
yeah,
him doing what he did
yeah,
if we were destined to continue to sin?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so that's the heart of the book.
yeah.
But this one lady focused on the whole thing about the devil being made sympathetic in it, and just couldn't get past that. So
Was and see, and because I have in my first series, I do have Satan is basically the enemy of
mhm,
the of my characters. Um, but one that I got a similar response to wasn't from there.
mhm,
I had written a kind of like a spin-off, and it's called Demented.
okay,
And in that book, and I like off my main series, you have the spin-offs of your characters and stuff. So in Demented, it's a story of this mom who's just obsessed with her son in a very wrong way.
okay,
Just
all
put it
right,
lightly. And
gotcha.
yeah, but in this story, it starts out as a murder scene. Well, no, it originally it did. I changed it. But
Hmm.
it started out as a murder scene. And anytime there was a murder scene, I had the spirit of death. So this
Okay,
one person was upset because I put somewhat of a relationship between death and karma. Now I know
okay,
karma is like a Hindi word, and but
right,
it's because people are so used to saying, "Oh, well, karma's going to get you, karma's going to get you." So
right,
I
right.
created a character called Karma, and I love
Hmm.
her. She's hilarious. Like her character is just very funny. She's very sarcastic, but she's
Hmm.
Karma.
Right, right.
So I was like, well, what happens before someone dies? Your life flashes before your eyes. Karma
Hmm.
comes,
Hmm.
it's like this karma comes before you. So
Sure,
I kind of put karma and death because they work together.
I can see that.
Yeah. But I think the lady was upset the fact that how I describe death. Death to me is the best way that it was explained to me. It's like you can't, it's not a love or hate thing. It's not
Hmm.
it's not an evil or good thing either.
Right.
It's a that you put your, I hate to say this, it sounds mean because I don't want anybody to say, oh, my loved one is not trash. But
Hmm.
just as the garbage man has to come and he has to come and pick up your stuff to take them
Right.
away.
Right.
It's something that has to be done because now there's death. So,
Right.
because now there's death, this is a process, and that's what he's creating for. Once there's no
Hmm.
more death, there's no more need for death,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Hmm.
So the character of death, and he has like a very dry sense of humor in my book. He
Hmm.
actually is pretty funny, but he has a very dry sense of humor.
Hmm.
Um, he'll do stuff on purpose to scare people, but
Hmm.
at the end of the day, like he says, look, you can fight me. He goes, I want you to fight me. I don't, it doesn't matter to me. He's indifferent.
Hmm.
And,
Interesting.
he's just doing his job. That's
Right.
it. He said, this is
Right.
my job. This is what I was created to do. I'm just doing my
Hmm.
job.
That's
You want to
interesting.
fight me? Go ahead, fight. you know?
Yeah. That sounds
So,
interesting. It really
yeah,
does.
yeah. That was,
Yeah.
and she was upset about this. I was like,
Hmm.
because she has her belief, I guess, on that death is something evil,
Hmm.
and and I don't. I say if you fall off a building, guess what's going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you get wings or an
Yeah.
archangel catches you, guess what's gonna
Exactly.
happen?
Exactly. You know, it's like gravity. Gravity's not
Yeah,
evil.
it's not
You
evil.
know,
It's just what happens.
it's just a fact. It's just
Yeah,
something that is there. You know, and then you can't get past that. You know,
yeah,
the death it's just a matter of fact.
yes,
You know,
yes.
and
And so,
go ahead.
yeah, well, that I mean, well, that's why, like, it's I don't know. I don't my books actually I don't put them under Christian fiction for that reason. For a couple reasons. I didn't think it was Christian because some of the things I have in there. Um, but other than that, but it is, I guess, Christian in a way that, yeah, we talk about God
Hmm.
and, but mainly the angels, because I don't like to write anything where it seems that I'm speaking for God. I'm
I
very,
understand.
very cautious about that. Yeah,
Right. Right. No, I understand that. I
yeah.
understand that.
So
Yeah.
that's why I haven't. And then there's other stuff in there that I just didn't
Hmm.
think was Christian.
Yeah. I have to read that. It does sound interesting.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a short book. You could probably read it in a couple hours. It's very, very short. It was when I started getting into I don't know if you at one point in the whole self-publishing realm, what was popular was writing little short little novellas,
Hmm.
and anything under 50,000 words. It was just really popular. So I had written a couple books like that. So
I see.
yeah, that was one
Cool.
of them.
All
That was
right.
it.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, thank you. So tell me more now. You have another book called Momo. Is it
Momo,
Momo?
yes, an
Yeah.
inspirational thriller.
I
Yeah.
want to read that so bad.
Yeah, Momo is that's actually it's my shortest work, but it's gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah, has it?
It started out as the long story is it's a story that I actually thought about, um, at least in a embryonic stage way back when I was a boy, you know,
Wow.
and it was inspired by two films. A Thing from Another World, which is a 1950s horror film, a
Okay.
sci-fi film, and a sort of pseudo documentary film that came out in the 70s called Sasquatch: The Legend of Bigfoot. That
Oh,
I saw in the theater when I was a really kid, and
yeah.
that was when Bigfoot and Sasquatch became, kind of, started to become rise in popularity,
Yes.
and they became
Yes.
household names and everything. But the whole idea of that kind of fascinated me.
Yeah.
And I lived in upstate New York, in a small town in upstate New York, actually outside a small town in upstate New York. And it was a nice place, but it was kind of boring.
Yeah.
So I would try to imagine what adventures and things might happen,
Yeah.
in that place. And that
Yeah.
was one of the stories that I thought about was, people,
Wow.
encountering this Bigfoot type creature, which I learned only quite recently, like in recent years, that Bigfoot has been seen in upstate New York and around that area. And I actually have a friend up there now who may be experiencing some
Oh
activity
wow.
up there.
Yeah.
But I digress. But anyway,
Yeah.
flash forward, decades later, and I decided I'm gonna write the first I did started a young adult series, the W3 Crew, and for my daughter actually
Mhm.
when she was little, Tamara,
Oh.
and
Yeah.
I wrote it for her, and I sat down to write it, and it was going to be about these three teenage kids who try to prove that a Bigfoot type creature exists in their town.
Right.
And I sat down to write, and instead of that creature, I wrote about a lake monster, because we have Cuca Lake, one of the Finger Lakes up there,
Okay. Okay.
and it just came out, and I thought, oh, okay, I guess no Bigfoot character, but a little while after.
You went mute. You went mute again.
There we go.
There we go.
I, uh, I started into filmmaking, and I thought, well, what
Mhm.
would be a good first feature to make? It had to be pretty
Mhm.
low budget, and what could we do? So that's why I thought I came up with Momo, about a father and son
Mhm.
in a cabin in the woods fighting this creature. Momo itself is a unique creature in cryptozoology.
Mhm.
It's very unique to Missouri, and a specific town, Missouri. A rash of sightings that were found that were experienced in the 70s, in the early
Right.
70s. And I never heard of it before, but I thought, oh, that's perfect, And it's even got a name. It's
Yeah.
it's a singular character. So
Yeah.
I wrote that script, and then that script won a couple of awards, screenwriting awards, and then
Mhm.
and I tried to get the movie made. We really couldn't. I couldn't get it off the ground, and my wife
Mhm.
suggested, why don't you just write the book and see what people think of the book, and maybe you can get it made that way. So I wrote the
Yeah.
novel, the novella,
Mhm.
and that took off. People just loved that as well,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh wow, So we re-released that last year,
Mhm.
and also decided, because I have a family. Our family has a production company. We thought, well, that'll be the first movie we make. So we're going to be
Yeah.
making the feature film to Momo this year. We're gonna
Nice.
be finishing up. So yeah, so it's pretty exciting. It's like it took a long time to get here, but but we're finally gonna make the movie.
That's
And we're
great.
really excited about that. I think it's going to be really good. And again, it's kind of different. There aren't that many. I can think of maybe one or two Christian films
The
that deal with something like this, or even that even ventures into this kind of
yeah.
territory. So we're hoping to kind of blow open a whole new door. And I said, if we do it well, it could be very successful, and it'll be the first film we make out of many. You know.
Right.
So yeah.
That's yeah, because now when you turn into film, will it be on like on Netflix? Is it gonna be how's it where can I go watch it? That's my question.
We're deciding where we're going to exhibit it. There are certainly a number of platforms we could. I know PureFlix.
PureFlix.
I contacted them a couple of years ago when we were thinking about it, and they said, "Listen, kid, definitely keep us in mind. If you make it, we'd be happy to take a look at
Hmm.
it and exhibit it." If, they said they said that's exactly what we're looking for. Looking for films that are outside the usual Christian film box. And he
Yes.
said that would be perfect. So PureFlix is definitely a possibility. And there are other
Okay.
platforms we can look at as well. But there's so many now that it's a lot of
Yeah.
wonderful choices. I'm not sure if if it's a theatrical release, it'll be a limited one probably.
Probably, yeah.
Um, but uh, but we'll see. Yeah, we're still discussing. We're still discussing all that.
Yeah, yeah. That is wonderful. I definitely want to watch that. And see, I'm not into ironically, writing about death and stuff. I'm really not into horror movies. I don't
Mhm.
really watch horror movies. I've watched maybe a couple, and I personally, it's like I'm not allowed to watch them. I don't know. My imagination's too vivid.
I understand. Well, you should like Momo because it's really not a horror film. As a matter of fact,
Yeah,
I had originally marketed. I had tried to market it at first as a horror film, but I realized it's really not a horror film
more like a thriller.
because there's not a whole lot of there's not a lot of blood or guts or anything like that.
Yeah,
It's more of a thriller
yeah,
because of the time factor in it.
yeah,
That they've got to get out of this. Get to
yeah,
safety before these monsters get into their cabin, basically.
yeah,
And then the heart of the story is the relationship between the father and the son. And the
yeah,
conversations they have during this time, and
yeah.
their faith coming in, and then that kind of stuff. So
I love
it's
it.
more of a thriller, a suspense thriller than
Yeah,
a horror film.
it sounds like it'd be a blockbuster movie to me
Yeah.
because it sounds really good.
Thanks.
Yes, it sounds really good. So yeah, I don't know. I'm more of a movie person, but
Hmm.
I love writing.
Hmm.
So
Me too.
yeah, and a lot of the good stories are in books. They're not on the screen as yet,
Right.
you know?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So what do you have planned for your next writing project?
Um, I'm going to be working on the fourth
Hmm.
Dobro book in pretty
Oh,
short
okay. So
order
wait,
here.
how many you have of those?
There
It's a
there are
series?
three now.
Oh, there's three
Yeah,
now.
there are three now.
Okay.
The Dobro the Bottlenecker. The second one is called Long Way from Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is Bringing Down the House, which we just released. We just released last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fourth one is going to be called For Every Action, and it picks up where the
Okay.
third one left off. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so I'm going to be working on that next. I'm working on another book before that one. Like right now, I can't even tell you about it
Uh-oh.
right now, but because the title alone would give everything away.
Ah, yeah.
But I'm really excited for it. It'll eventually be part of a line of uh, books for younger readers and middle schoolers
Yeah.
and young adults. But
Yeah.
adults should like it too. That they'll
Yeah.
appreciate it too. But I'm going to launch again. I'm going to launch a new line of books for younger readers sometime
Okay.
this year, and that'll be one of them. We're going to re-release the W3 Crew, which I mentioned before,
Mhm.
and so yeah. But those are the two books that I'm working on. I'm if I can fit it in, I want to write the third W3 Crew book as well because to
Mhm.
finish up the trilogy. So
Right.
hopefully I'll be able to do that this year as well. We'll see
Wow.
between writing and these books and the movies. We'll see what I get done.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
busy.
it's a lot. It's a
Yeah,
lot, but it's worth it.
yeah,
It's
it
worth
is.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying it. I'm in a creative boom right now,
Yeah, yes.
in my career, and it's been a lot of fun and interesting. Getting to work with the family on a
Yeah.
special project is something I've always wanted to do, and yeah, no, it's been a blessed time. It really has.
I was talking to your daughter about that yesterday. I was like, that is one of the biggest highlights with, that I learned. And I said, I love that your family all works together in one
Hmm.
company. She says, we all get along. I was like, that is a
Yeah,
blessing.
yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, we're definitely a very close knit family, and
Right.
we do a lot together, a lot of creative stuff together. And
Yeah.
it's a blessing. It really is. I got some really talented kids, and
Yes.
uh,
Now,
remarkable.
I have a question. Do
Okay.
you think that homeschooling helped in a
Yes,
way? Yes. I was,
absolutely,
because I was telling
absolutely.
her, I said, you're the fourth person in a group that told me that you were homeschooled. And I'm
Oh,
starting to see a pattern. I'm starting to see a
hmm,
pattern in behavior and the way you carry yourself. Like
hmm.
I see the difference. And I
Yeah.
was like, because my daughter's homeschooled now. I always wanted to homeschool,
Hmm.
but God sent the pandemic. So I guess I had to get on it.
Yeah. And you may have sent it. You may have sent it to get people teaching their kids at home more.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want your kid in there. But
Hmm.
yeah, I personally like it. I get to work with my daughter more. Started I started a whole nother I started a publishing company with my
Oh,
daughter.
okay.
And
How,
because it's something, yeah, I
how
want
old's your
her.
daughter? How old's your
She's
daughter?
she's 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's
That's
me and her,
great.
just me and her and this little company. But and then I have another company too, Greenleaf Health. But
Hmm.
yeah, this one with the publishing and the books, I did it with her because she likes media. She
Hmm.
likes right now she's in the Gotcha Club.
Okay.
So she got her own little YouTube channel and she does
Oh,
Gotcha Club character videos and
oh, great.
so she's we're working on a story and yeah, that's what she actually makes the video of the story that we're working on.
Oh, great.
So yeah, she's really good. I was like, oh, this is, I gotta feed that talent.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It makes a difference. It makes
it
all the
does.
difference as far as
It
I'm
does.
concerned. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
Um, I couldn't be more pleased with the
Yeah.
results.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I think
Mm.
let me think. I wasn't homeschooled. I don't know, but it's like I don't know. I look at that, like I feel like there's just I'm seeing it
Hmm.
with the with the for the creative side.
Right.
Like I feel like the creativity is fed more at
Hmm.
home, which is
Yeah.
interesting. Because you
Yeah.
would
It
think
is.
that it would be fed more in a public school or or in a school setting, but it seems to be fed more at home, which
Yeah.
is
Well,
I love that.
in a public school setting, it's kind of a one size fits all curriculum. I mean,
Right.
it almost has to be because of the number of children you have to teachers.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not preferred. But the kids there, they have to keep up with. They want everybody to keep up, be on the same page with one another.
Yeah.
Where at home, your children, their individuality, what their individual gifts are and everything,
Yeah.
and you can cater to those much more easily and
That's true.
pursue those interests,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
cultivate those interests and talents and skills much more easy than you can in
Yeah.
public school,
Yeah.
and so each one is able to pursue what their bent is, basically, and
Yes.
what their god-given talent is,
Yes.
and
I agree.
that's great.
I agree. So
Hmm.
tell me about these awards. I didn't know
Oh,
you were award-winning author at first.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. Momo won the Christian Fiction Award in I want to say 2016.
Okay.
It just won the Missouri Author Project Award
Oh, wow.
of
I've heard
last
about that
late
one.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the book. That's the screenplays won uh, the ZFed No Low Budget Screenplay Competition back in 2010.
Nice.
It won an endorsement from the Coalition for Children's Programming,
Mm-hmm.
the Kids First.
Uh-huh.
That's a program they have, so it won that.
Wow.
Um, what else? There's something else I'm missing. Can't think of what it is right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's got a lot of
Wow.
notoriety already, and
That's
so we
great.
wanted to capitalize on that. But yeah,
Yeah. So, because how did you enter it into contests? Was
yeah.
it hard? Was it hard or difficult to find them?
No,
Or
no, not really. It's a matter of just doing an internet search on, if it's a book that there are lists of annual book contests and
yeah.
awards for indie authors and everything, and it's just a matter of just looking at them and entering the ones that you think your work will fit in. So,
Okay, good. Okay, that's good news for me.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I encourage it.
Yeah.
A book award win can only lend weight and credibility to your work. So.
Right. Right. That's true. That's true. I never well, now I'm going through a revision process. So now I'm taking things a lot more serious than I did before. Before I didn't know. I was like crash coursing it through the whole publishing process.
Hmm.
The whole I just I didn't and I at that time it was like 10 years ago. I didn't have anyone around me
Hmm.
that can guide me or lead me or even point me in the right direction. Like
Hmm.
nobody. So my first book publishing experience, I got scammed.
Oh no.
So yeah. So I didn't so I've been trying to recover since then,
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah, it's been an experience, but now I look back and I'm glad that it happened that way
Hmm.
because the amount of things that I learned
Yeah.
because, I got scammed. So now I'm like, oh, I'm going to learn how to, I don't trust nobody. So I got to learn how to do it on my
Do
own.
it
So at least I know
yourself.
what they're
Yeah.
talking
Exactly.
about,
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
I can sort of relate. I was never scammed,
Hmm.
but I definitely when with the self publishing thing, I just kind of, I was anxious to see my work in print and be published, and so I just kind of rushed through the process with my first
Yeah.
book, which I think was S. I think.
Hmm.
Of course, it didn't do as well as it probably could have if I had been more thoughtful about
Right.
it and everything.
Right.
But now my wife is now my marketing director,
Oh, wow.
and so I relinquish a lot of control
Yeah. Yeah.
over my work and
Yes.
allowing her to and she's very talented at doing it too.
Yeah.
So, but I'm allowing her to to kind of you know steer all
Direct.
that,
Hmm.
and everything.
Right.
But I still can sometimes bristle at that because it's like I'm used to doing it by myself,
Right.
and so I have to, okay, all right, so let her do her job, and everything, So, but it's been, I've seen more success over the past year or two
Wow.
with her doing that
Wow.
than I ever did when I was doing it by myself. So,
Yeah. Yep.
you know, proof is in the
Yep.
pudding.
That, yeah, and you know what? That's the beauty, and this is what God talks about with coming together. This is the beauty
Yeah,
of relationship.
exactly,
So
exactly.
it's like a puzzle piece.
Yeah, exactly. Matter of fact, I wrote that in a song I wrote for her. That's a two-piece puzzle made
Mhm.
complete. And
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
And honestly, I love that, and that's something that I write about in my books with the characters. I get annoyed when I hear stories where, and I know male authors do this a lot. They always
Mhm.
kill off the wife, or the wife is dead.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, and I get it. I get it. It's an action thing. He
yeah,
has to
yeah.
have that vendetta. He has to have this. But I was like, I wanted to do something different. I want to actually make it with the reason why these people are successful is because of the relationship that they have
Sure.
together,
Yeah,
and
I
that
like that.
teamwork. Yeah.
Hmm.
So while everybody's talking about separating and it's all about me, 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 I'm here making it about a union.
That, that that's good. I appreciate that. I think that's
Yeah.
wonderful. That's the way it should
Yeah.
be. That's the way it should be.
Yeah. It should. It should. And it's just, this world.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, so you Well, with your production company, you also do. Is it just only going to be movie productions that you're going to be doing, or are you going to branch off into anything else, like maybe independent publishing or becoming
We have talked about that, where we had talked about forming a production publishing company,
right?
because we've got, of course, I'm a writer. My wife and I are going to be working on some things. She's
Yeah,
got some children's books ideas that I encourage her to
yeah,
get out. Tamara
yeah.
is writing. Talia, my youngest daughter, she wants to write. The
Okay.
boys have kind of wanted to talk about maybe dabbling in that too. So I'm thinking, maybe
Yeah,
why not just, kind of, go from publishing and add or go from production to adding publishing as a
right.
subsidiary or something. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I'm almost positive that will happen in some way, shape, or form
yeah,
eventually.
yeah.
But right now we're just doing publishing or production.
Production. Yeah, that's really good. That's what
Yeah,
I mean. And then you have all the material. You guys
yeah,
should probably, yeah.
hmm yeah,
You got
exactly.
quite a few movies already.
hmm Exactly. So
Yeah, that is wonderful. Well, I didn't play the commercial that I was supposed to play.
okay.
I do that. So I'm going to play this commercial and then we're going to get back into this interview. If I can find I always do this. I always lose the commercial. Okay, I found it. All
Okay.
right, I'm ready.
All right.
We live in a world that glorifies wickedness. It's so easy to be bad. It's easy to make excuses for poor behavior as if no one is watching. But what if someone is watching? What if not just someone, but a whole invisible world of people, of judges, watching and observing, and they were able to see the destruction of our future based on our actions, our choices? Would we continue to make the same poor choices if they were used against us? May Gordon has been violated repeatedly by our world, but through the eyes of the unseen, she is a hero. Despite all that is thrown at her, she never allows negative energy to remold her into its liking. She remains indestructible.
Okay, and we
I
are
like that.
back.
That's a nice commercial.
Thank you. That's for my first book, Endurance.
Oh, okay. No, no,
Yeah.
now was that you?
No, that was
Oh, okay.
no, those are just actors or whatever.
Oh, okay. Okay. The woman resembled you some, so I wondered.
Yeah. So in Endurance, I have for me, I like to play around with cultures.
Hmm.
So the main character, she's half Chinese, half Trinidadian, Afro
Oh,
Trinidadian,
okay.
Afro Caribbean,
Okay.
and the other male lead, he's well, they actually don't know exactly what his mother is because she doesn't. It's a whole story with the mother. She doesn't even know
Hmm.
who her father is. Blah
I
blah blah.
see. I see.
But she looks kind of like she could be like half Hispanic, half white, and her son, who's the main lead, his father's from Trinidad. They're Afro Caribbean,
I
but
see.
in the islands it's all mixed. So
Sure.
so yeah,
Well,
it's
great.
a
Great.
melting pot.
Very interesting.
Thank you. Thank you. So now I want to talk about your writing process. Like,
Okay.
what are your little quirks or habits when you write? Some people set up a whole snack buffet around the computer.
Yeah. Let's see. Books come in different ways.
Hmm.
Sometimes it all just comes out in a rush. I'll just start writing and just start writing and writing and writing and writing and writing, and then
Right.
the weekend it's done. That's kind of the way the W3 crew worked out.
Wow.
Uh, Other books like Dobro, which is a much longer work, uh, I write. I don't write in sequence necessarily.
Right.
In fact, one of the things that I teach when I teach creative writing
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of people think you have to start with chapter one and go chronologically, and I'm like, no, 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 no. I said, you no doubt have a scene in your head or a conversation or something that happens,
Mm-hmm.
already in your head that you want, you're only going to write. I said, write that first,
Right.
and then it's down, and
Mm-hmm.
then think about the next thing, that's more pressing on your mind, or you have a passion about, and then write that next, and then that's kind of how I write.
Yeah.
I'll think of what's the scene on my mind that I need to write today, and I'll write that, and then I'll arrange everything later, compile everything
Yeah.
later, in order, and I find that's a wonderful way to write.
It is. It is.
It's much faster. It's much more. The writing is much more visceral and evocative
Mm-hmm.
because I'm writing according to whatever passion I'm feeling at the time, or whatever scene I'm
Right.
seeing at the time, and that's a wonderful way. That's how I write most of my books. Is that way?
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it was for me. With my first book, Endurance, I actually started writing in middle school, so I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
nothing. I just
Mm-hmm.
started. Well, I started with what inspired me, and I moved from there. But I did notice that there's some books that I would write the scene, and the scene actually didn't play out till much later in the book.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I do find it a lot better. You're
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, the Dobro the Bottlenecker. I think I wrote the climactic fight scene first
Oh
because
wow.
that was that was what I saw first in my head,
Right.
and then I wrote the next one. So yeah, that's how I write most of my books now, is
That's good.
with that
Yeah.
method. And I usually I had in the past, just kind
Mhm.
of just wrote, and
Mhm.
whenever I had time to write.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm trying not to do that so much anymore, being because I'm at home now.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I don't I didn't get the COVID shot at work, so
Yeah.
they fired me. So, but that's actually been freeing for me because now it gives me plenty of time to work on what I want to
Mhm.
and try to launch my writing career
Yeah.
as it is. But I used to write whenever I had a spare moment and just work on something,
Mhm. Mhm.
feverishly until it was finished. And I'm trying not to do that anymore
You teach yourself.
because I can get lost in my work,
Mhm.
and where nobody sees me or I don't communicate with anybody until it's done, and I don't want to do that anymore. So with the encouragement of my wife, of course, I'm trying to be more measured and scheduled.
Mhm.
Schedule sounds like a box schedule. I automatically bristle at that, but yeah, I'm trying to set hours, and kind of right within a limited time frame each
Mhm.
day, more and more. So it's a discipline that I'm learning. It's not something that I'm used to, but I'm trying to get
Right.
used to doing
Right.
that. So that's hopefully my new way of writing is to write in measured time.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, this pandemic is horrible for a lot of people. It's for
Hmm.
everybody. But one silver lining is I think a lot of people are discovering themselves. A lot of
Hmm.
people are learning that they are talented in a certain area.
Right.
They're starting new businesses based off of their talent.
Exactly.
And I think that's a beautiful part of it. For me,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been home because I'm not, I refuse to get vaccinated. I need to see more research.
Yeah,
Just to
I've
really,
done the research. That's why I didn't want to get vaccinated.
right? Right. From what I learned, mm-mm.
Yeah, it's
But I mean, it's my personal opinion. Like everybody is different. So,
right, right. And
yeah.
I don't begrudge anybody getting it. I
No,
don't at all.
no.
That's your right.
You have to do
You
what's right
want to
for
get it, go
you.
ahead and get it. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do
Yeah, it's not right for me. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, I don't hate on anybody that has,
it. Yeah,
you
right,
gotta sleep with yourself at night. So
right. Exactly, exactly. So,
yeah. But for me, like it's actually given me the time that I've always needed to really sit and analyze my books. And I've
hmm.
never I did. Like I say, like I'll sit down at a laptop and I throw up, I call it throwing up on paper.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I sort it all out.
Hmm.
But so now I have time to go back and I realize, in my mind the story is always there. It's just
Hmm.
sometimes all the very fine important details doesn't get onto the paper, so to say,
Hmm.
because we're trying to hurry or trying
Right.
to. So I think it's nice now to like pace ourselves, take our time and really pull what it is that we're the artist is trying to bring out, like
Right.
let our
Right.
minds translate it,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning that. I'm loving
Mm-hmm.
it. So
Good. 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 I think it also it's also safe to say that the more you write,
hmm
the easier writing comes.
this is
You
true.
know,
Yeah.
and that's something that I'm finding too. It's like
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of writing for a little while now, and it just gets easier and easier and easier
Yeah.
to actually
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
You know?
When I was
So,
working, I took a
go
long
ahead.
break. Yeah,
Yeah,
and yeah, it
yeah.
hurt. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
One thing that people find, and I share this with some people, it's kind of odd, but when I'm writing in the midst of a project,
Mhm.
it's almost like I have two brains.
Mhm.
There's the one that's writing and the one that's watching the movie, as it were, as I'm writing it.
Uh,
And it's interesting because, and this sounds crazy, it really does, but I'll be writing something, say Dobro or something like that, and I'll be writing along and I'm writing along, and I'll surprise myself by what happens.
yeah.
Dobro does this, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe he just did that.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm looking around.
Okay.
I just look around.
Look, there's
It's a little crazy, Kevin,
there's a lot of writers right now. They're like, okay, good, I'm not crazy.
Exactly. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's what happened. It's like I'm watching what I'm writing as it's happening. It's like a slow
Mhm.
playing movie, and
Mhm.
I'll be surprised by what the characters do,
Yeah.
even though I'm writing it. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, I can't believe this just happened.
I did that.
It's really nuts.
Or even just the things that comes out of their mouth. And people,
Yeah,
I know we sound
exactly.
crazy. I know to the average person, writers probably, if you get all the writers in the room, we're normal, okay? Our characters
Exactly.
talking to us and our characters not working with us, it's normal.
Exactly. It's like, I know.
But you tell this to regular people, and they're like, "Oh, they need to see a psychiatrist."
Yeah, yeah, it's something you're trying to tell your characters as you're writing. What are you doing?
Right,
Don't do that.
right. I was telling your daughter yesterday. I said I've tried. She said you do outline writing, that you can do an outline and then write your story.
Yeah, you can.
I
I
tried. I tried.
yeah.
My characters rebelled. It was
Hmm.
very bad,
Hmm.
and it didn't work out. And literally, when you talk about you're writing the story and then you're seeing like the movie playing,
Hmm.
if you can imagine, I'm writing and my characters are like the actors just sitting around looking at me like I'm stupid. Like they don't even want to do what I'm telling them to do. So it didn't work
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Even though I do give that advice for when I teach creative writing and stuff like that about
hmm
outlining and stuff, I very rarely ever do that.
Do you? Oh, okay, okay,
Very
okay.
rarely ever do that. I just that's not how I work. I've tried it and I've done it to some degree.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I think with one of the Dobro books, I started like writing bullet points, maybe
Yeah.
of things that had to happen and when they had to happen like that. But I don't. And I think for the first book, I
hmm
did write an outline for it, but it was more because it was more as part of a query to
Yeah.
a publishing
Yeah.
company. They
Yeah.
required a chapter by chapter outline. And so, okay, I did it. I already wrote the
Yeah.
book,
Yeah.
but I just wrote the paragraphs about the chapters in order.
Yeah.
But normally it's a very almost spontaneous process with me where I just start writing,
Yeah.
and I'll either have the entire story in mind, or I'll have the idea for the story, and then I just start writing it, and it fulfills itself.
Right.
Had an interesting occurrence a few nights ago with the latest book I'm writing, which I can't tell you about.
Okay.
It was early in the morning. I'd waken early in the morning about 4 o'clock, and I was just laying in bed trying to go back to sleep, and it was almost, I don't know if it was a dream or if I was somewhere between wakefulness and sleep,
hmm
but I saw the entire plot of this new book play
Wow.
out before me like it was a movie.
Nice.
I mean, literally, and the
Love when that
whole
happens.
thing from beginning to end for this book. And I was
Yeah.
like, my goodness, and I'm like, I know exactly what's going to happen. I just have to take time to write it down. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I never had that. I
Wow.
never had it happen like that before. That's the first time that's ever happened.
And that comes
Uh,
from
you
more
know,
writing because you're
yeah.
writing, yeah, and you're
It,
taking
but
your time.
it was thrilling. It was like, I was like, wow, this is going to be great.
Oh
So
wow. Yeah. That's awesome. That's
Mhm.
how it's supposed to be. That's how
Yeah,
it's supposed to be. Writing is so much fun.
it
And if
is.
you're not having fun writing your story, you can't expect anybody else to have fun
Right,
reading it.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You
Yeah.
got to write. You got to write for yourself first.
Yes.
That's what I
Yes.
say.
I agree.
A lot of people say, think about your audience like that. I say, no, you got to write for yourself first.
If I'm
Write for
not
yourself first.
entertained, I can't expect anybody else to be entertained. So,
Exactly, exactly my point. If I'm not
yeah.
passionate about it, well, why would I expect somebody else to be?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, I write for myself first, and then hope that my audience finds me, you know, or try to at least market it in a direction where I think it should go, if I can,
Right.
you know. So
Yeah. So my final well, is this my yeah, well, of course, everybody knows where they can buy your book on
mm-hmm.
Amazon
It's on Kindle or through my website. Yeah.
or through your website. Which do you prefer? Through the website? I it's it's kind of hard. I like both.
Yeah, I mean, I like people to visit my website because they can
Mhm.
find out more about not just my work, but about me as well if they
Right.
want. If I try to keep it interesting so they can kick around and find things of
Right.
interest for them. I know a lot of people prefer to just go directly to the store, at Amazon or
Mm.
whatever. But I mean, I'm kind of flexible that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And what has your I should have put this. How has your experience been with this author challenge that we're doing so far?
It's been interesting. I'm kind of waiting for it to start. I
Yeah, I
don't
know.
know. I'm enjoying talking with you though. I think that's been
Well, that's
great.
a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I've really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed talking with you and getting to know you and exchanging
Yeah.
information and writing. Habits and stuff. I think it's very very interesting, and I really appreciate you doing this too. That's
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been telling everybody one thing I've been loving is getting to meet the author because I
Hmm.
like I said I don't think that I would have not that is anything wrong. It's just the way you're so caught up in life and everything and trying to do your own stuff.
Sure.
You don't take time to really learn about another author. And I think as authors, like for me, I'm always interested in the who's behind the book. I'm more
Hmm.
interested in who's behind the book than the book. It's like I
Yeah.
get interested in who's behind the book first, and then
Hmm.
I more want I'm like, okay, yeah, I got to read the book.
That's interesting. Yeah,
You know?
I'm similar in that way.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in the author, the writer,
Yes.
itself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I did. Like I would tell people, the two authors that I had studied when I was trying to figure out what route to go was J.K. Rowling and Stephanie Myers, because at that
Okay.
time the two most popular things was Twilight and Harry Potter.
Right. Harry Potter. Right.
Yeah. So, and I looked at their stories and I learned a lot. Like Stephanie Myers, she didn't consider herself a self-published author, but she self-published so that she can give. It was just easier for her to give a book to an agent, a literary agent, instead of
Hmm.
trying to send. So she did it that way. But what happened is the kids in school, of course, it's self-published, so it's on Amazon and stuff. They discovered her book, and that's how it became a movie. Eventually, that's how it
Oh.
became a movie. Yeah, the agents kept turning her down for a while, but then
Okay.
because they kept telling her like, "Oh, there's enough vampire movies," and it's true, but I always say, me and you, we could both write about Cinderella, and our stories can be
Yeah.
completely
That's
different
true.
perspective.
Right.
And I think that's something that they overlooked, with her. And
Hmm.
then with J.K. Rowling, she was in England, so they didn't have self-publishing at that
Right.
time, and they
Right.
just kept rejecting her, rejecting her, rejecting her. And I really think God had me look at what was going on in her life, where she was living on welfare, her husband left her. Every reason for her to give up on that book,
Yes.
and yet she stuck to it. And I'm pretty sure her husband is not very happy right now.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't think he's happy. But because he's probably like, man, I should have just stuck in
Hmm.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, so I related to her a lot, and
Hmm.
but I'm glad I learned a lot. And what I saw the difference was with Stephanie Meyer's story and J.K. Rowling's story. Why I tell people, rejection is not always a bad thing.
Right.
Not that Twilight is bad. Twilight is good, but I think had she was told, okay, this is if the literary agents really gave her some good critiquing on why they rejected it. Oh
Hmm.
well, not just there's too many vampire movies. If they really looked at her story, they probably could have given her some good pointers because I think the story could have been even better. but it's a great story. But I think it could have
Mhm.
been even better. Some people say they hated it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But J.K. Rowling, because she kept getting rejected, that story, and that's why Harry Potter's so thick. But it's so you can see it even in the movie. There's so much detail,
Hmm.
and I hear that I haven't read it, but I know people say there's so much detail in the story, and the details is what really gives the imagination where the reader feels like they're in it, they're
Hmm.
in the story. So
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Very
I'm
good. Yeah. Good examples. Good examples.
yeah. So I want to thank you for coming on
Oh, okay.
and sharing us with all this knowledge about writing and producing and all these wonderful books. I love the stories.
Thank you.
I
Thank
look
you.
forward to seeing how the turnout is with this author challenge.
Me too. I hope it's successful.
Me too.
So,
Me too. Yeah.
I appreciate you doing that. So,
Thank you. And God bless you and your family and your
you
production
too.
company.
You
I,
too.
I'm
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing Momo and Scream.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to reading your work as well. And
Thank
I
you.
really wish you and your daughter, all the best. I think that's great.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. We're gonna hang in there.
All right.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Great meeting you. Keep in touch.
I
Okay.
will. I will.
All right.
All
God
right.
bless.
God bless. Bye bye.
Bye.